state.
I'll fill. Yeah. Well, this is maybe State of Wrestling, and I started the recording now. So here we are. And I want to get the old graphic from the other day off. I just had the fucking old graphic. Guys, what's up, wrestling fans? How you doing? It's Joe Cronin, Jake DeMarco, and Dave Rose. Devious Dave Rose is here as well for another podcast. Tons of shit going on in the wrestling world. Rebby Sky flipping out on TNA. We talked about the Hardy Boys leaving the other day. We really believed we were actually ahead of most of the factual reports. We did a whole podcast on pretty much knowing they were going to leave, and then a bunch of videos came out that they're definitely leaving after that. But we covered it first.
It set the wrestling world ablaze yesterday with this news. I mean, we knew it was coming. Like you said, it was pretty well spelled out. We had a premonition, but. Matt Hardy tweeted out yesterday at 7:42 p.m. saying, "I wish Impact Wrestling all the best going forward, and especially the talent. I hope they're all treated with respect and fairness." So that's cool. He was, giving a rub to the wrestlers. Didn't say anything, crude or crass about management. And he also said that I have never been more awake. The creative renaissance is merely beginning. Anything is possible in my broken universe. Anything. So
yeah, I love that stuff.
But Joe, you were actually speaking about this before we got onto the air, but in regards to this, I want to hear what both of you have to say. You got somewhat a disbalanced response from both Matt Hardy and Rebby Hardy, where you've got, again, Matt Hardy thanking everyone, saying that it was a great, respectful team that worked hard in tough times. And then Rebby essentially replies to that saying, "If MFers don't start coming correct, I'm about to melt some gold and have some new gold hoops."
And then
she writes something in Spanish, "Seguí y vas a ver," which means keep at it and then you'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, see, she was, a scorned lover. She was pissed.
I've got a hard-on for that tweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look at how much the Hardys did for them, between TV views and video on demand and international views. Their Final Deletion episode was the #1 viewed TNA Impact, of all time. They had over, I think it was 1.2 million views combined in all networks and, nations. But what they did for the company the past year and putting them back on the map. I mean, you started covering them again. A bunch of people started watching. Just the amount of promotion, time, effort, and they promoted TNA while going from independent to independent promotion.
Right.
So.
But guys, we really have to be absolutely blunt in regards to this. 2016 was the year where Matt Hardy showed himself to be a true quality character, an individual with amazing vision and intelligence and a knack for being able to connect with what people seem to want. And I just think that he probably was the biggest, if you want to use the term, mover and shaker of 2016. He really, I don't know if he revolutionized the industry, but he definitely was one of the most talked about and most, I guess...
He was, I would say, most creative wrestler of 2016 for sure.
It's incredible the impact, no pun intended, that he had. So when you hear about the fact that they chose not to re-sign with TNA, despite the fact that although they've been on death watch for years, now they got this new infusion of money from Fight Network, you know that they've got the ability to afford them, to support them, and to allow them to continue to have the success they've had in the past. And yet they were disrespected, apparently, or they felt that way from the negotiations. I really find that unacceptable.
Yeah, they wanted creative control. That was one of the things they added. And now they were also going to have to pay like a stipend going forward on all their merchandise and sales. And it was just it wasn't a good shake for them.
I guess, to me, it must have been that they really hid that stuff in the contract. Because to me, it doesn't sound bad to me that TNA would take 10% of all their merch or whatever. But it sounds to me like this contract may have taken away... This might have taken away the intellectual property from them.
That's what it was. They wanted creative control over the broken brilliance himself. Everything had to be theirs pretty much. And they couldn't decide what and where they were doing going forward. So
why would WWE, what do you think? I mean, they risk a lawsuit with the Hard, just doing this with the Hardys or with TNA?
It's possible. I mean, there's a big rumor going around right now that the return of Team Extreme could be happening with WWE because Vince McMahon is reportedly offering them unlimited creative control. That was by The Sun, from the UK.
Yeah.
It's still just a rumor, so I want to, express that implicitly, that it's not set in stone. There's a lot of rumblings going on right now. Obviously, everybody wants the Hardys, that's for sure. They're definitely set. Wherever they go, they're going to be beyond rich and well taken care of.
But gentlemen, this is actually, I think, a precursor of things to come, but more importantly, a harbinger of the extent that they can affect the industry.
Absolutely.
Because think about this, for example. We haven't seen full creative control from a wrestler for their character in a very long time in the WWE. Say this goes forward. Let's go with this theory. Say it goes forward. They're given whatever money they want. Doesn't look like they're that interested in money as they are more over the control. So they're given that
just
full
want to
control.
be able to.
It's about not having to travel. The family.
But let's follow through this theory here. They're given full control. They blow it out of the park. They show that really they are quality individuals who are necessary in this industry. Then, and this is most important in my opinion, we start to see other wrestlers being provided with that same trust, where they're saying, well, you know what? We were right with the Hardys to give them full control. You know what, AJ Styles? Consider the same for you. Your new contract renewed, you've got full control. Think about what that could lead to. We're going to see a return to quality storylines, quality interactions. It doesn't seem forced or feel like it's crammed down our throats. We're going to see probably a renaissance, at least in that aspect. And I think that you would both agree to that extent.
I don't think you're going to see full control for anybody necessarily. Perhaps maybe the Hardys, but I don't think you're going to see full control. But because I think WWE has to have their.
I'm not saying that for everyone. What I'm saying is, don't you think that a big star player is going to say, well, if the Hardys got it, why can't I? I'm loyal. There's going to be individuals who have that pull. Like The Rock, although he's a part-timer, has a lot of pull, with the CM Punk call and stuff. Like, he can pull stuff, and they're not going to basically shit on him publicly and get him in trouble. So there's certain leeway. Don't you think that other stars, especially the bigger ones, would then demand such an equal treatment? And WWE, seeing the success of the Hardys, say, you know what, maybe it is about time to give these guys full creative control. At least not to all of them, just a few.
Maybe. It might be. I don't know.
And you don't see a good thing to that?
Oh, I definitely see a good thing if they were.
It's a huge positive. But here's my question to both of you. Do we want to see them in WWE, even if they have full creative control? Even if they do have full creative control, do we think that the big machine's going to go ahead and just suck them up, consume them, and spit them out? I mean, I love what they've done with TNA in the past year. When we first saw Matt Hardy, with Brother Nero, I knew you'd come with the contract negotiations. I was like, what is this shit? What are they? They're making a farce out of wrestling. And then it sunk in. And then I watched it a few more times. And I took note of all the little Easter eggs he hid in there. And I paid attention to, the storyline that progressed forward. And it was so entertaining and enamoring that I couldn't look away. It was not a car crash in sense, but that's how it felt in the beginning. But it just progressed into something so incredible that it made him the top star of 2016. I mean, the reemergence and resurgence of the Hardys is incredible. You figured they were big in 99, 2000. Now, 16, 17 years later, they're doing it all over again. It's incredible.
They'll be big for a whole different reason, and it will be quite amazing, because think of this. They were big early on in their careers, and most of in their whole entire career, pretty much in the WWE, they were big mostly because of their high-flying intensity and their wrestling ability. That's what they were known for. They weren't known for Mr. Personality.
No, they put their bodies on the line. They went through and tore themselves apart in TLC matches.
Yeah, Jeff didn't entertain me at all when he spoke. It just sounded weird. He was like, and I am the Enigma, whatever the hell. And it would just be like, okay, we'll just go out there and do a swanton, because that's what entertained me about Jeff, his charisma in the ring and everything. But when he spoke, it wasn't really anything you remember. And same thing when, for the most part with Matt. Matt could cut a good little promo, but it was just generic sort of wrestling promo. So they were really, really known for their wrestling in the ring, and they had no outside, appeal for the most part to me. But I did love their look and loved their wrestling, and they did some of the most extreme stuff. But now it's like that is sort of dialed down, dialed back, and they're focused more on the psychology in the wrestling, and their characters are bombastic. So it's unreal that they would come back, and if this is where they are allowed to go with their current gimmick in the WWE, that you would see a team like as or more successful than they used to be in a completely different fashion. It's bizarre. Like have you ever? I'm trying to think of who's ever done that before. Like it would be like Daniel Bryan. Like Daniel Bryan.
That's the thing. Nobody has. I mean, what they've done is they've essentially been able to not only stay within their character, but break down the fourth wall at the same time and live in basically what would be I guess a sort of hypocrisy. It shouldn't exist, you know. It's a conundrum, but yet they're doing it.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, I just love it. I think I can't remember which one it was. Sean Helms was there. Do you remember when they were both like, "We've buried him deeper than the H of triple" or something? Like, and they all look at the camera and they give their thumbs up and smile. Dude, that's breaking the fourth wall, staying within your character, and just giving everyone an amazing show.
Yeah,
genius.
Dude, you know, the only examples I could give of this, and they're not quite on the same level as what the Hardys have done, but the only hint of this that I ever sniffed, like I was thinking, like I was trying to think of like wrestlers who were like, you know, whatever, like Bret Hart. Like Bret Hart kind of, in a way, did it. It's almost like, you know, because for a while he was just like, I'm the hitman and I'm the damn, you know, the family-friendly hitman, I'm boring, you know, but he would go in the ring and he would be so damn good in the ring. But when Bret the Hitman Hart would cut a face promo, it was always just like, okay, good guy face promo. But when he became the heel who hated America, that was like, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't know he could do this. This is
exactly
crazy.
That character development was a huge, you know.
That was my favorite. Like, all right, Bret Hart in the ring always will be awesome. But if you're telling me, Joe, you're going to be forced to watch Bret Hart talk. What promos do you want to hear? I'm never going to pick any of the, like, well, Yokozuna, I'm coming for you. You know, I'm never going to pick any of those. I'm going to pick fucking America's a giant toilet bowl. We don't shoot our own in Canada. You know, I'm going to pick one of those heel promos because they were awesome. He became somebody that was transcended just the wrestling. So, in a way, I guess I have to eat my own words because I think Bret Hart did do this here, but not on the level of what the Hardys are doing here with the character-wise. Even Shawn Michaels, I would say, because Shawn Michaels before DX was mostly just like, I'm the sexy boy, you know, and
it was very generic and predictable.
And I liked his deal, I did, and I liked his cockiness. And Shawn Michaels in his last 10 years or whatever was more just like the, you know, I'm Shawn Michaels, you know, but it was so like none of that mattered. Everything Shawn Michaels cut on a promo, it was nothing special really. Shawn Michaels was good in the ring. Yeah. But during the Attitude Era DX days, he was off. He was unhinged, man. And that was if you're like Joe, you're gonna have to listen to a Shawn Michaels promo. It's like I can't really name too many promos that Shawn Michaels did that I would want to watch, other than DX type of stuff.
But I think that ties in perfect. I think it ties in perfectly with exactly the topic that we're discussing, which is the creative right and ability for that wrestler to make the character what they want it to be, despite what the machine thinks it should be. We saw the same thing, again, with DX and with Shawn Michaels. The fact that at that point, the business called. At that point, the business called and needed that creativity. It wasn't going anywhere. The fucking the gobbledygooker and all this other bullshit that just didn't work. Vince at that point said, you know what? I have to give you guys this opportunity because Ted is kicking my ass. And it's because of that creative freedom that I think that we've been able to get these characters that have basically become legends and have lived on in our memory. And I think really that's the only way for things to be improved, is to allow them a greater ability to have control creatively.
Absolutely. You're 110% correct there because, I mean, look at the resurgence that we had with wrestling in the Attitude Era. And that's why the Attitude Era is so memorable, because so many of the stars did have creative freedom. Look at The Rock. He followed Vince's orders. He came in as the blue chipper, and I'm just happy to be here. It sucked. And he said, Vince, just give me a mic, give me 30 seconds, and let me say what I got to say. And look what happened. It was magic. Same thing with Stone Cold. You know, he's stunning Steve Austin and with Mr. Perfect, and it's like, all right, you know, he's good in the ring, but this doesn't really feel natural. It doesn't, you know, something's missing.
But the
and then he
difference
goes ahead.
is
The whole damn thing with Austin was an accident because like he wasn't supposed to win that, and he came out looking like a fighting champ. And the fact that he cut his mouth open, I mean, you just started to build by accident sympathy for this guy, and then he comes out there and just goes, you know, fuck it, I deserve it, kiss my ass, you know, basically Austin 316, all that shit, and people just came over that, and it was.
Well, that's the
and
thing.
we've seen it time and time again.
Necessity is the mother of invention. And at that point, they needed it because Vince was getting his ass kicked. But look at how comfortable they feel now, again, with the publicly traded company, with the fact that they're able to offer all these free perks for their damn network. They're in a very comfortable position, and that's why the product has declined, because they're not forcing themselves to be creative. Again, competition breeds creativity, and when you don't have that competition, you get the shit that we get now.
Exactly. You get complacent and stale. When's the last time we've seen anybody have any real creative control? I could argue Punk around the pipe bomb time, but even then he was still, you know, stifled and controlled. So I don't think we've seen anybody have real, true creative control. Maybe Cena, but even that's so cookie
think about how
cutter.
crazy it is, because at that time we were bitching about the creativity and the, you know, the PG and the held back, and that's why we liked that Punk promo so much. People almost think that things were great back then or something. They really weren't. Those were like random forced things that
those
had
were
to be
jewels in you know, piles of shit.
right. Exactly. And now we just get pretty much piles of shit. Although, well, not SmackDown, but and by the way, if the Hardys come to the WWE, if you tell me they're coming to SmackDown, I'm like, yeehaw, let's go. If you tell me they're coming to Raw, I'm like, oh shit.
Actually, I'm kind of a reverse here. I'm kind of hoping that if they do show, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, I'd like them to be on Raw. I would like to see them face the Wyatts, don't get me wrong, but I think we'll get that further down the line. But I think they might be able to do something on Raw that makes it entertaining and exciting again. I think SmackDown doesn't need any help.
Dude, they should wrestle the New
Raw
Day.
needs a savior.
I disagree, Jake. I disagree totally,
Yeah.
just because of the fact that I know what kind of treatment they would. Look, Raw is already oversaturated with supposed stars that aren't doing a goddamn thing. SmackDown is that clear leader, and despite the desire of Vince to destroy that brand, clearly, even now when the brand split has actually proven to be successful for SmackDown of all brands, I think that it would be better for them to go to that brand, because then not only would that push that brand into the forefront and make it even bigger, but then it would force Raw to become good again.
Yeah, well, see, my worry is, though, is like Raw right now, their tag team division is getting beat up in handicap matches 2-on-1. You know, the tag champs are getting destroyed by Roman Reigns. And then you go over to SmackDown, and the Usos are cutting great promos, and American Alpha is doing things. The Ascension's buried, but at least they had a chance at some point. You know, it's like...
I don't know if they ever had a chance at some point.
Well, yeah,
They
true.
never
but
gave them.
still,
They buried him right from day one.
You know, between the tag team turmoil matches and the Wyatts winning the tag team titles, like, you know, if it feels like the tag divisions on SmackDown is in a good place right now, not great, but good, and Raw is just buried.
It's working.
You know,
I'll say that it's working. But again, if you were to have the Hardys on SmackDown tell the Wyatts, meet us at our compound, and they have like just a fully filmed segment or something that they can say, well, this happened on the network, so if you want to see what happened, you got to get the network.
absolutely.
It would be creative genius, and it would be economic salvation, I think.
Yeah, we saw a bit with the New Day and the Wyatts.
I want to see the New Day and the Hardys in fight in Rainbow Land.
You don't have to make the Hardys fit perfectly with, you know, Vince's plan of big pecs and big cocks. It could be something that's sort of like an anomaly. And again, things that are unique to them could be solely offered through the network. And think about the interest that people, especially in the IWC and the internet wrestling community, people saying, you know what? I like the fact they've been given full creative control. And you know what? I will subscribe to the network, or I'm going to check out that network because I now know that it's got something of value to me in regards to the Hardys and such. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunity to profit from this, as long as the parties are respected and given that creative control.
Couple little plugs here. When you guys get done watching this video later on, if you get a chance, jump over to my Twitter account. I posted the ending of a Teddy Goods match, and you guys should go check it out real quick and give it a like. I'm trying to put it up on the screen now, and it's being stupid. But I also just oh, here it is. I also got a voicemail here. But yeah, check it out. This is the tweet, and that's the match, and you should go check it out. It's on pinned to my Twitter, so go there and tweet that thing out there. But I got a voicemail, guys, from I believe Boomer Randall has left me a voice message. I'm going to play this message now out of nowhere. This is bizarre. We're talking about wrestling, and Boomer Randall is calling me, this stupid
Is that
psycho.
inbred meth dealer?
Yeah, he's an inbred meth dealer.
He called to monetize this a while ago with his
Yeah.
pro-Trump regalia.
He is I got to be honest, he is a sick individual. I don't know what's going on, but here it is. Here's the voicemail. I haven't heard it yet. Hopefully he doesn't say anything bad.
Hey, Joe, give me a call back, motherfucker. You never told me Bill Paxton died the other day. I ain't never gonna be able to watch Predator 2 same no more. This is bullshit. People like Bill Paxton are just wonderful souls to the American world. How the fuck we gonna watch Twister? Who's gonna give us our information on goddamn tornadoes? Hey, shut up, stupid. Give me a call back, motherfucker, all right? Hey, Joe, give me a call.
Shut up, stupid.
Did he just tell a baby to shut up?
Yeah, I think you just told a baby to shut up. That's going to be like a new, like whenever we get a bad call on the shows, just play, shut up, stupid.
Oh, Boomer.
All right.
I mean, yeah.
One of
Whoa.
a kind. Did you guys know that Zeb Coulter has become the lead for creative at Impact
I
Wrestling?
knew I
as
should
well?
have sucked
Yep.
his dick when I saw him at that con.
No, yeah, I was well aware of that when they signed him, and I found it very interesting. But I also was a little confused as to what ever happened to him with the WWE. I mean,
It's getting a little
he
more
sort of like
southern.
waned into obscurity.
Yeah, because Ringside News announced it 4 hours ago. Former personality Zeb Coulter, Dutch Mantel, has been named head of creative writing for Impact Wrestling. And John Gaburik will no longer be writing storylines for the company. PW Insider reports that Gaburik, who used to be head of creative, will be staying with the company, working as a consultant and running the gorilla position.
Only
But he
4
will
hours
no longer
ago?
be.
Because I read that story like literally 4 days ago.
Yeah. Well, this is on Ringside
Well,
News.
he was
anyways, they just
hired
posted it, but-
he was hired for the creative.
He was hired a few days ago, but they just announced that he's the head of creative.
Yeah, I didn't know he was
yeah.
I knew he was hired for creative, but I didn't know he was the head until.
Yeah, they just announced now that he's the head of creative, and Jeff Jarrett is not expected to appear on television. However, it's likely that his wife Karen will have an on-screen role as soon as this Thursday. So, some
Why do they
interesting
always
news
go
there.
back to Jeff Jarrett?
I don't know about TNA anymore, to be quite honest. I'm still pissed
No
off
one
at the
does.
fact that they got rid of Billy Corgan. I thought that was one of those opportunities where they could have made things great, and it was going in that direction. Then this infusion from Fight Network, I think sort of like, again, gave them that life. They really needed to sort of die, I guess, before they could have been reborn like a phoenix. But the Fight Network just fucking extended our fucking pain and misery.
Yeah,
And
well, they're not
what?
going to
I'm-
rise from the ashes. They're going to
I
keep
think I'm
going
done
to
with
hell.
I think I'm totally done. Like, there's some great talented people there, but just as Joe talked about it in a podcast recently, is that Drew Galloway, he also left recently, and you know what? I just don't have faith. Well, I've never really had much faith in TNA, but again, I just don't have the interest in spending time to look at their product, especially now that the Hardys are gone.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard rumblings too today that other stars are now also considering leaving the company, not just like in support of the Hardys, but because that they're having contract issues as well. Names haven't been dropped, but an insider somewhere off of Reddit on Squared Circle had reported that it's a possibility to see more talent leave as soon as before the next tapings. So
Road Dogg has posted, look at the crowd when it happens. The anti-establishment minority doesn't want you to know that reaction. So it's funny that we all think that the company is behind Roman and they're fixing the crowd and they're trying to hide the Roman haters and show the Roman cheerers. And Road Dogg is here posting that we're trying to hide that people cheer for Reigns. So check this out. Let's see how loud this is. So he Superman punches it, and I don't hear anything.
yeah, no.
He spears him through a table awesomely. The table spear is the shit. I think people are popping for the spear through the table because it was sick. Look at this, right? I'm looking at it. Well, you guys can't see it, but I'm looking at it. Well, can I show this? I can show this. This is a house show filmed by some fucking fan, so
Yeah.
it should be okay to show this. Let me just get it up on the screen so you can see it. But yeah, it's a fucking awesome spear. I mean, like, I
know exactly the one you're talking about, too. It happened over the weekend.
I would have popped for this. I mean, this looks...
Yeah.
By the way, this is a house show, so that
That's
means...
him versus Braun Strowman, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that over the weekend. It was a good spot.
Yeah, it was a good spot.
But
It's
hold
also a
on,
house show.
D-O-double-G. If you got an issue, get a tissue. I mean, it's clear to us, and it's clear to the people that call into Joe Cronin's show, and it's clear from the people in this community that are referred to Smarks by some individual that we won't mention right now, RYBACK. But basically, you can't tell us a lie and expect us to believe it. The crowd doesn't dig Roman Reigns.
No.
Okay, this is not some conspiracy. You know, they don't get your fucking tin foil hat off. It's clear that yes, there are the soccer moms and the young 6 to 8 year olds that, you know, like Roman Reigns, as well as that big Indian contingent. But to be quite honest, shoving him down our throats has made us really dislike the guy. Don't tell us, don't piss on our back and tell us it's raining.
Yeah, it's I think once again this becomes the sort of truth is in the middle for how people see things. Like there's
But the people there at the live shows have called in and told you, Joe. Half of the crowd, a bunch of women and kids are cheering for Roman Reigns, and everybody else from grandmas to fucking adults are fucking cheering for Strowman to beat the shit out of the face.
Well, I'm in Boston, right? I've seen Roman Reigns over the last year and a half. I've seen Roman Reigns 4 times. So at the house show, this guy was cheered. At the house show, the club, by the way, the house show in Boston Garden was probably 60% sold. The club was booed like you wouldn't believe. The Usos were cheered for immensely. Roman Reigns was cheered for immensely. Smackdown, the crowd cheered, more of the crowd cheered for Reigns than booed him. At Hell in the Cell, Roman Reigns was booed. So
yeah, it depends on the audience.
It's bizarre. Like it's like so, you know. So you have I would say 60% of the place was sold out for the house show. I would say 45% of the 60% of the crowd. So yeah. So let's say let's stick to real numbers here. So 100% is what we're going by 100% of people. 60 to 70, probably 70% of the crowd cheered for Reigns at the house show. I would say 20% cheered for him, 30%, 20% cheered for him during Hell in the Cell. So you can see how the perception can be warped. Like so the WWE is like, see, it's working. We're getting more and more Roman fans. They're converting. Like they really want to like him. Don't listen to this small group that are stupid. And then we're like, did you hear Hell in the Cell? He's being booed. But they're hearing all these cheers. So they're seeing merchandise do okay. They're seeing all those comments on Facebook. Like most of the internet community doesn't tend to go to the Facebook page. Most people aren't on Facebook. The people that are on Facebook a lot of times are the younger people or the generic fans, or I want to say the foreign fans. And you see that all over their Facebook page. You go to their Facebook page, it's unbelievable. You go to their Twitter, it's like it's a mix. And if you go to any internet websites that cover wrestling, it's like all negative. So it really depends on where you're living, where you are, what the point of view is. If you're on the WWE's Facebook post, it's 70% Roman support. If you're on Twitter, it's 50-50. And if you go to Wrestling Observer or some website, it's like 80% against Roman.
Thankfully, those polls that WWE publishes, whether it be on Facebook, on Twitter, sometimes show the reality of the situation, where if they ask, did you like Raw tonight? And only 25% of the people say yes.
Well, those polls have been going up for them. So that's the other thing is they're seeing those trend up. Like, remember a little while
lately
because of Goldberg and stuff like that, though. That's why it's going up. Because
I think probably because Twitter just made it available so that you can buy a bunch of like followers and make them vote the way you want.
You could always do that though. But no, it's 50-50.
It is skewed, but it's definitely been going up for them lately.
Dude, last Raw
Come on, man. Like, every time Roman Reigns comes out to a crowd, like the last couple of weeks, actually, you've seen it. As soon as his music hits, it's like the whole arena, despite the fact that they're putting the volume down, is booing him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think a lot of times he comes out, 60% of the crowd is booing him.
Yeah,
but it's so strong that even despite the duplicity of the WWE fucking with the volume, they still can't cover up the fact that people don't like them. If it's that strong, it's going to definitely be more of a majority, and quite possibly it might be larger than the numbers that you're saying right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. The popularity of Roman, it's I would say that again, it's like,
dude, this is the company that basically splices footage so that when Roman wins and people are fucking sad about, or sorry, when Roman loses and people are like cheering about it, they splice it up to make it look like they're cheering when he wins. This is the type of fake news company we're dealing with.
Well, Dave, the thing is, I went to it was supposed to be Raw, but the blizzard happened, so they ended up doing that live show inside Stamford, and then they went to Smackdown for the live show on Thursday when Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble, and he was going to be heading to face Brock Lesnar. And when he came out and him and Triple H had that interaction, the crowd was deafening loud booing him the entire time. And I went home that night and, I talked to Joe, I call in the show, I go ahead and I watch it back. And when I'm watching it, my jaw drops because you hear the crowd cheering. So I even put it up on YouTube. You hear everybody booing him, but then you watch the replay and the crowd is just cheering the entire time. And I was like, you hear about it being edited and things like that, the audio being mixed with, but it was jarring, and I was kind of in disbelief almost because here we are, the entire arena is booing that he won. I mean, this is the year that they rioted when he won the Rumble, and we're watching it on TV and it's nothing but cheers piped in. So it's just ridiculous. It's really like I said before, it's a sad state of affairs
that they're all on board to. I mean, anybody who wonders about this or questions it, just go back to CM Punk's make Roman look strong. Yeah, you're going to win, but make sure he looks strong.
Yeah, see, that's when Roman started to get most of the heat. I remember you and I talking about that previously. When you go back and you think, when did Roman start to become disliked? It was around that time that interview came out, and people started to really see how, Roman hasn't been pinned in a year, and Roman hasn't, and it all kind of came together. It was this perfect storm of events that happened, and that's when the crowd and fans started to get sick and tired of the establishment. I want to go back really quick, Joe, to something you brought up previously. We were talking about the Hardys. There was a poll on Twitter that 7,000 people took a part of, and it said, "Why do you watch Impact Wrestling?" Individual did an independent poll, and he tagged EC3, Matt Hardy, TNA Rosemary, a bunch of people, and so the options were the Knockouts division, X division, EC3, Broken Hardys. Like, there was a bunch of choices. 90% of the poll was taken up by the Hardy Boys. So I'm dying to see what the ratings are going to be now for Impact. Are people going to be trying to tune in to see if they write them off, or are people just going to stop watching entirely? And also, Jeff Jarrett made a very PR response, wishing them and Drew Galloway well, and saying that the wrestling business is difficult at times, but one thing is for sure: the business is always changing. So that's all he had to say on the issue.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I dropped my mic thing got screwed up.
No worries.
Okay, so this is we treaded a lot through this and a lot of this through Roman, and now we get to this, but there is some news here that I also wanted to get to, which is Chris Jericho news is pretty popular right now, that he's scheduled for TV and WWE live events through the month of April and after WrestleMania, including WWE Payback April 30th, scheduled to tour with Fozzy in May. Will perform at the Download Festival in UK on June 11th, but
they've got a big spot there at Download. So,
but I guess he's coming back to WWE after that. So,
yep, that's what's being reported. So good for him. I mean, he's doing well, and people want to see him. He's over. Might as well be here,
And basically, yeah, Road Dogg continues to talk about the anti-establishment minority there, and that was the news there. And there was something else that I wanted to get. There's really a bunch of shit. Like,
yeah, a little thing here. John Cena, in an interview today, said that he regrets feuding with The Rock, not facing him in the ring, but he regrets, basically harassing him about not being in the company.
Of course he does, because now he's doing what The Rock does.
Exactly. He said it was stupid of me. It genuinely was. That was my perspective at the time.
He's not a hypocrite.
I mean, he did, admit his wrongdoing. He said, when you're involved in the daily grind of the WWE, I promise you that it's something I love. He said I had, or somebody questioned my allegiance to the brand, not the sport of professional wrestling. So he said, I love the WWE, but for me not to be able to see Dwayne's vision on what he wanted to do, I was wrong. So it was stupid of me. And it was nice of him to say, hey, I shouldn't have called him a part-timer and given him, such a hard time. So
shut up, Cena. Go back to New Westbury.
Also, Shaquille O'Neal suggests that the Big Show match at WrestleMania 33 won't happen. Good. So,
you son of a bitch.
Yep. I guess Shaquille O'Neal threw another wet blanket on the prospect of him stepping in the ring with Big Show. He said that's probably right on the most recent episode of his podcast, the Big Podcast with Shaq. He said, it's not my fault. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, sure it isn't.
So.
Fuck you, Shazam.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I feel like it's the worst for the Big Show. I feel like he was really like, this will be great.
Yeah. Also, little news here. WWE signed Canadian Olympic weightlifter Isabel Lahila. She's 22 years old, and she had a tryout back in September, October, and apparently they really liked her because they went after her hard. And she's been training at Superkick Wrestling in Toronto, Canada since August under the guidance of professional wrestler Ashley Six and Chris Chambers. So,
well, if I can be so blunt, if you were to ever take a look at the photo that you shared here in the chat, I'm sure a lot of individuals, both male and female, would go quite hard on her.
Absolutely. Bootylicious, baby. And also, Joe, Kurt Angle will be returning to WWE television after WrestleMania is another rumor going around. So, Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported on the Taz show that Kurt Angle will be returning to television the night after WrestleMania. He speculated his speculated role as of now is taking Mick Foley's spot as a general manager.
So what, are we seeing Mick Foley fired at WrestleMania?
I mean,
or before?
By the way,
he'll definitely be fired.
Before, yeah, the way they're going about it on Raw lately, they gave him a hard time. We know Stephanie's promo.
Again, we know that's the direction, but when? When are we going to look at the culmination of this storyline? Because that's essentially what they're gearing up for, is a storyline where he's against the authority and he's going to eventually be fired.
I would think he'd be at WrestleMania, then that would be the last night you saw him, or the night after on Raw would be when the transition would happen with him and Angle. I would feel like.
Yeah,
that would probably make more sense if it was probably the Monday.
Right.
I mean, something is definitely going to happen with Angle, which is good. I'm looking forward to see him return. We've heard that he would also be on a SmackDown general managerial role, so either or, he'll definitely be involved.
Alone, God damn it!
Yeah, don't touch SmackDown. Don't touch my friggin' SmackDown. You leave that shit alone.
Speaking of SmackDown, there's a chairs match and a 2 out of 3 falls match added to SmackDown Live tonight. Dolph Ziggler and Apollo Crews will jeopardize their careers in a chairs match on SmackDown Live. And Dolph Ziggler is looking to settle the score with Apollo Crews amidst the vicious stipulation that means chair shots are legal, reports Sportskeeda. And also, we're going to see a 2 out of 3 falls match with Becky facing Mickie James. So it should be a good night for wrestling,
dude. Yeah, it's like I'm already interested in that. Like, what?
Hold
the
on,
hell?
I gotta comment about this, and I actually tweeted this out last week. But that Falls Count Anywhere match that happened on last SmackDown
with Natalya and Nikki.
Let's be honest, when was the last time you saw such a good Falls Count Anywhere match? Again, you gotta remember that's the stipulation of the match. So They really have to be taking that action outside of the ring.
Yeah, backstage.
And I think they did a spectacular job with that particular match.
They really did. That match was long, and it wasn't like... It
was creative, too. They used the environment. That's what it's all about.
That mirror spot was excellent.
That was
Slamming
awesome.
into Maurice was definitely a good choice to go forward if they're going to
Dude, that
have
was
the
like
mixed
probably
tag.
$1,000 worth of coke. I mean, I'd be pissed off too.
That's why she came out with a fucking pipe and was swinging it and missing her because she was on coke.
Yeah, she was trying to tool her, but she missed every swing.
Yeah, but it was no, it was really well done. I mean, the ending didn't even matter. It was just everything they did was fun. You were like, what are they gonna do next? The girls, you know.
I enjoyed my Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's so weird how that shows like entertains you, and even if it doesn't have a great night, you're just like, okay, I watched that. But Raw, it's like you're fucking shaking. You want to hurt yourself almost. It's weird.
Well, last night we had nothing to look forward to, and the only thing I was excited for was hearing what Seth Rollins had to say about Mania, and then they dragged it on for upwards of 20 minutes and still said nothing. You better not call me out at WrestleMania.
You know what? Shame on Corey Reeves. Or sorry, Corey Graves, and shame on Seth Rollins, because there was that point during their interview where the audience, or there was a few idiots in the audience trying to hijack things by calling CM Punk.
Yeah,
and,
no, ridiculous.
I mean,
that was the worst crowd yet.
Dude, there's been times where people have been able to just take that fastball and throw it right back at them, and either like Stephanie or just say, well, if you'd lasted longer than a minute 12, you would have been longer than CM Punk, or whatever the case may be. There's been ways that they've been able to take that aggression and but to let the crowd, like the idiots in the crowd, I should say, chant that for so long, dude, that's not professional. And I mean, again, I love CM Punk. Would love to see him back, but that's not going to happen.
I felt bad about that.
I want to
chant.
see a good show, and I really don't want to see them when we got Seth Rollins, who should be the face, getting fucking insulted by these idiots, these smarks in the crowd calling for CM Punk. I thought it was unacceptable.
That was. I actually don't usually get triggered by that shit. I'm normally like, fuck it, let's fucking take this shit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's so annoying.
Hijack the show. I agree with hijacking the show. This
But it was
wasn't
such a serious moment.
Yeah, this was bad. This was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and I think I see what happened. To me, what they were doing, what Seth was doing, I didn't like it. I was talking to Lee about it while they were chanting CM Punk. First, I thought, wow, I can't believe the crowd is chanting that right now. But then I looked to Lee and I go, but you know what? Seth is boring me right now. I don't want to hear this shit from him, man. He's so much better as a heel, I started thinking.
True, too.
Yeah.
That was it fell dead, flat on its face.
But when he
that guy-
started yelling at Triple H, I was like, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
because he started getting real as shit, and I was like, oh, this is great.
But it took so long to get to that point that that they lost the crowd. And that gentleman that brought the signs for the Joe Cronin show last night, Jared, even said he was the one that started the CM Punk chant, and we were kind of like but there he said he was so bored and everything was going to hell. The crowd was so bad too that
Guys, that's
said
when I
that
tu-
they
that's
wouldn't
when I
cheer or
tuned
chant
out.
anything.
I tuned out at that point. I was like, you know what? Enough of this bullshit. I'm done. I'm not going to fucking spend another hour watching the end of the show knowing how shit it's going to be. And that's it. And I turned it right off.
Raw has a pay-per-view Sunday. They have a huge pay-per-view before
That sure as
WrestleMania
fuck
Sunday.
wasn't a go-home show.
Exactly, but look at SmackDown tonight. I just announced 2 great matches. Plus, we have the conclusion of who's going to face the champion at WrestleMania. We're going to see AJ Styles take on, Luke Harper, and there's even rumors that Nakamura is going to intervene in the match. I mean, tonight's like a bottle
Really?
keg ready to explode. Yeah, that's
Okay,
a
I didn't
huge
hear
rumor
about
going
that.
around
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
right. You were talking about Nakamura showing up tonight. That's right.
Oh, shit.
That is a huge, widely reported rumor going on right now.
That's really the only. If anything else, that should be the only reason for you to be checking out SmackDown tonight.
Tell me-
Even the rumor, whether it comes out false, just the fact that he could potentially be there is a reason to watch. Is the reason to watch Raw, SmackDown tonight.
But you should be watching it every night, because if you're watching,
Of course.
again, if you're watching Raw, why the hell aren't you? I got to believe, like, anybody who's not watching SmackDown that watches Raw, what are you, out of your marbles? Like, I mean, but yeah, we talked about this the other day, and it almost didn't seem like they would do this because it's like right before Fastlane, this guy shows up on SmackDown. It's kind of weird. It almost feels like, this should be something that happens the night after Fastlane, or the night after the night after.
Well, what had happened was that Nakamura was interviewed online and said that, well, since AJ Styles doesn't have an opponent yet for Mania, I'd love to fill that role. And then some backstage rumors had started to be produced and slip, and some people started talking and buzz, and now it just went fever pitch from there, which I don't blame them, because that would be an amazing show-stealing main event caliber match to see at Mania for sure. I mean, that alone is worth the price of admission. They headlined Wrestle Kingdom 9. Yeah. And that was incredible. So to see that on, the WWE's grandest stage of them all would be incredible. I'm excited for it, and it hasn't even, been announced. But from there, Nakamura, continually got interviewed, said he wanted to face AJ. And then it's also been reported that Nakamura is going to have double duty, that he'll be working at NXT TakeOver and Mania, like they did with Kevin Owens, the year before when he was still NXT champ and faced Cena. So it's definitely something that's a possibility. Also, which is cool to bring up here, Asuka tweeted out towards Alexa Bliss saying, "Can you beat me?"
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, shit.
Asuka will be, it says right here, Naomi's injury will need time to heal.
Alexa's going to die.
Naomi's time came and went. Feel the glow, watch it go. I like that line. But the time, it says Naomi's injury will need time to heal, but time is on the side of another superstar. According to Steven Fernandez of PW Insider, NXT Women's Champion Asuka has been booked to work a Smackdown live event at Madison Square Garden on March 12th. Asuka will be teaming with Becky Lynch, Tamina, and Nikki Bella against Bliss, Carmella, Mickie James, and Natalya. Though one event does not necessarily signal a main roster move right now, it's interesting that WWE would choose Asuka for this spot.
Why not feature an NXT champion on SmackDown too?
That's what they're doing. So she's going to be there March 12th, and then Asuka said, "Can you beat me?" And the problem is that she's still a top title holder on NXT, but people are thinking that she might, because she's still undefeated, she might not lose. She just might relinquish the belt and head right up to SmackDown.
Wow.
Saying that there's no one that can beat me here, so I'm going to go find new competition, vacate the title, and move up to, SmackDown Live.
Damn.
Which would be incredible.
That would be awesome.
And then but we saw Kevin Owens come up and make an appearance on Raw with his NXT championship.
He faced John Cena.
So why would we not see the same thing from the women's NXT title?
Exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, there's so much going on tonight. Last night we had nothing to look forward to, and tonight it is fucking jam-packed. And they don't even have a pay-per-view. I mean, they already had Elimination Chamber, which was good, by the way. I mean, we still have... I like the idea of the mixed tag team match. When was it the last time we had a mixed tag match of this caliber? So the idea of Bella teaming with Cena...
Last week on Lucha Underground, but that's a different story.
Yeah, well, I'm saying in WWE, but touche. But originally the idea of, Nikki and John being a tag team was quite, humorous. I didn't like the idea of it. But after it settled down, then I saw what happened last week. The Maurice ran out with the pipe, and to see John not defend Nikki, and it's actually intriguing. So I know their relationship was crafted due to Total Divas, but that was it. Now it's there's a huge intersection here with Natalya, so it really could be building towards this match for Mania, and that's been rumored for a while. So it really does give us something else to look forward to. Plus, the tag team division is still going strong. We got the Usos that cut their mixtape selling promo last week.
Yeah.
And then we still have rumor that Shane McMahon might face AJ as well, if that doesn't happen with Nakamura. So even if we don't get one, we might get the other. Right here it says Styles is that opponent, but the match is more about what may come instead of what's happening. So because they both got eliminated at the same time, which, obviously Luke Harper clearly won, but Shane McMahon's presence at ringside after Styles' match with Harper would set the scene for WrestleMania. So, I mean, we still have that to look forward to as well if Nakamura doesn't show. So no matter what, we've got a jam-packed freaking show tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited for SmackDown tonight, guys. And of course, reminder that I'll be live, so come over there and watch my live review. I'm going to try to take 1 million calls if I can. We'll see if we can get through a lot of calls tonight. Also, that's about it. We got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. But thanks to everybody for listening to this, whether it was in one part or two parts. I don't know yet if I'm going to split it up. But thank you to Dave Rose, Devious Dave Rose, Jake DeMarco at Countdown Ended. At Devious Dave Rose on Twitter. You can find us there. And at Joe Cronin JCS on Twitter. Go retweet some of my shit and send me messages on there. If you have any questions, messages, or anything, the best way to get a hold of me is Twitter. At Joe Cronin JCS. And also, guys, I want to remind you that the WWE, the Book of Rules and How to Break Them, is available on my website right now. Go to joecroninshow.net. And you can click on the book on the main page, and I will get credit directly from the WWE if you do that, and you'll make us look good. And I would love for you guys to do that. Over 100 of you guys have already ordered the book. Well, it is available now, so if you order it, you're going to get it soon. So go to joecroninshow.net to order the book. If not, hey, check out some more videos on my channel that you may have missed, including the RYBACK interview, or RYBitch, or RYCrotch, or whatever you want to call it. There's the cake video. Not a lot of people saw that. Monetize this 100, more wrestling news from yesterday. Also, a 2-hour podcast with Tommy NC 2010 called Honestly, Episode 2. People enjoyed that. There was lots of people that were like, fuck that guy, and they actually enjoyed it, so I suggest checking that out. Also, Morning Discord Episode 2 will be coming up available soon as well somewhere. I don't quite know the full details of that. I may make it available somewhere else, but we're working on that. So, see you guys tonight after SmackDown. I think it'll be good. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Watch these other videos if you haven't seen them. Here they come. They're popping up. Click on them. If you can click on them if you're on your mobile device now, too, by the way. It's clickable on a tablet, mobile device. It didn't used to be, but now you can press that screen and go to that video now.
Oh, shit, Dave. I didn't see Eric Rowan's video, too.
Eric Rowan released a video?
Yeah, he has like this little vignette of the sheep mask, and
he's
like
coming.
Eerie and ominous.
That's weird.
I thought that would be potentially something we could discuss, but we jammed. I